Hello, sunshines. Welcome back to Paradigm Shift with AyandaStood. I am so excited to have you here with me today. I'm sending you so much juicy, loving vibes. You are precious. You are not a void waiting to be filled. You are whole. You are everything you were meant to be if we didn't live in the society that we live in. Today, we are here to talk about creativity, something that I think we all have, we all are. We just are not invited to really see ourselves as creative. Why? Because they need to co-opt and capture our imagination and our tendency to view ourselves as imaginative, because we are easier to control when we are world takers instead of world builders, okay? When we conceive of ourselves as such. In reality, we are always building the world. Every relationship is a world. Everything we do enacts a set of principles and norms on the society, or further normalizes something or queers that thing. So we are world builders and we are creative beings. Everything is an act of creativity, whether it be how you relate to other people. Friendship is a deep act of creativity, for example. It's a blank canvas with a lot of social conditioning that then curtails, restricts the lines that we then color within. And Rick Rubin has a book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being, which I love. And if you're looking for the intersection between spirituality and creativity, this is the book for you. And it's interesting because a lot of the ideas that I read in the book are things that I apply in my life as a creator. And I have a lot of insecurity and anxiety and fear and just tension when it comes to my own creativity. I never even used to see myself as a creative person, and now I absolutely see myself as a creative person. And I would invite you to do the same, because the more you identify as a creative person, I think the more creative you become. It's a very expansive and expanding identity to take on, because when you say, oh, I'm a creative person, it opens you up to continuing to fulfill that promise in a way that I think is very heart-opening and expanding. I think whatever you define yourself as will expand the way that you enact that definition on the society. So that's why I think that we should take on the idea of creativity to become more creative. So I'm going to be discussing a piece that I wrote called Insecure Creatives Gather. For all you creatives out there who have ideas but are terrified of either starting them, completing them, or sharing them, this is for you, okay? I love you so much. And most of the things that I'm saying have maybe been said by someone, because, you know, we're all as creatives going through similar challenges. But I just wanted to put my thoughts on creativity and on the act of really excavating yourself and putting it into the world for others to consume if you would like to do that, and really like talk through what I go through and what wisdom I lean on to be able to press send, to press submit. You know what I mean? To accept imperfection and to reject perfectionism in general. This is a constant struggle. So the piece that I wrote on my Substack is called Insecure Creatives Gather, Words Guiding Me This Week, and actually every week as a full-time creator, okay? So what I want to say is this is an invitation, this is an offering, this is a sign from the universe. If you're receiving this, it's because the universe is ready for your art. We are ready to receive you, okay? We want to hear what you have to say, because literally you have a perspective that only you have. And the creative act of being, he says the self is like a prism, and a prism uniquely refracts light based on the shape and the texture and the configuration of that prism. So even though we are part of a community of beings, and it is our collectiveness, our similarity that allows us to connect, our shared consciousness that allows us to connect, we need your specific contribution to deepen the ways that we can connect. You know what I mean? We all are here for a reason. We're here to be the fullest expression of ourselves. And in order to do that, we need to speak and share our truth. It doesn't have to be on social media. That's obviously where I'm coming from, but I'm not advocating for that at all. Maybe your goal is to just create art for yourself or for your friends or for your family, or just literally for your younger self. Whoever it's for, whatever it is, I just want to give you a little push, a little sign that you've got this. You're not alone in your fears and your anxieties. And I'm here on this journey with you, literally. I had to sit on the phone with my bestie today to complete my newsletter. This is a beautiful little trick, by the way. We're meant to create in community. So if there's anyone in your life who you can jump on the phone with as you collectively like just do the creative act that you're trying to do, it's so helpful. In fact, maybe on my Substack, we should do like a Zoom day where we just like work on our projects together. And it's like we're alone together. You know what I mean? Because I think it just gives you that energy, that spark, because we're meant to do this together. Like ideally, we'd have like this warehouse that we all go to and we meet up and we support each other. Someone left a beautiful comment on my Substack recently, basically imagining what this could look like. And I will comment that at the end of this. They were so precious and beautiful. Let me take a few deep breaths because I'm so excited that I'm not breathing. Yeah, let's breathe together. What a gift to be alive sometimes. Okay, so let me start with the first idea for my fellow insecure creatives. I see you, we see each other. Wait, I've messed that up. I see you, you see me, we see each other. Okay? So, my first view on creativity. The world needs your voice, your art, and your perspective, just as they are. Wait, let that sink in. Just as they are. The world needs your voice just as it is. You don't believe me. You think there's 3 books you need to read before you write that essay. You think you need to refine and re-edit that video. You think you need to double-click and re-edit and rewrite the poem because it's not good enough. No. No. If we all insecure creatives, especially if you are Black, brown, Asian, queer, disabled, fat, trans, marginalized, imagine we all just hit send today on our work, on our drafts. We would create a literal renaissance, okay? We would literally change consciousness, because culture is not only in today's world where we have access to these platforms, is also a manifestation of those who are willing to share their consciousness. But the problem is the society embeds who's willing to share their consciousness with the value system of who has power in that society. So then you hear a lot of straight, cis white men being very confident in what they have to say and therefore putting out what they have to say more and more. So you have this self-fulfilling prophecy, exclusion leading to insecurity, anxiety, self-doubt leading to less sharing. And on the opposite side, people who are made to be overly confident, sharing their work and their art, creating culture, and then becoming more confident because they're represented in the culture. So to break this, we need to understand that we, as we are, could change the world with our consciousness. And we are doing that already. And that is why I think TikTok is such a unique platform, because you're seeing more of those voices who in previous media platforms were silenced, were cut off from having a voice or platform at a large scale, are having it. And we know, of course, TikTok has a lot of anti-blackness, anti-fatness, anti-ableism, ableism and all of these things. So it's not perfect at all. But I think it's an insight into what would happen if we expanded the aperture of voices that we listen to and that we uplift and amplify. So what I say in this is that very often as creative people, we avoid our project by telling ourselves we are not yet ready. We need to read a few more books, or we need to edit a few more times, or maybe we need to work on our speaking voice before we share our voice. Let's throw this mentality away immediately. Ha! Gone. Out. Because you know what I told myself before I recorded this episode that you're listening to now? I'm not ready to make this. I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. Maybe another day. It's not the right day. I'm not ready. I need to fix a few things first. We are a future self of one of our younger selves who wanted to know more. There's the paradox, okay? You know more. You are more. You've felt more. You've experienced more than you once did. So if yourself now could enlighten, could entertain, could enliven your past self. If you know one thing that your past self wish they knew, then you're ready. Then you have all that you need, my darling, because you are always someone's version of wise, of thoughtful, of introspective, of sensitive, of creative, of entertaining. We are all selves. We are literal, your past consciousness is a version of someone's current consciousness. And I don't mean past as in it's linear. I'm not saying yours is better than this is better than that. It's very cyclical and it's very holistic. We are part of a collective consciousness, and it only works if we share our consciousness. Okay? So let's do that. And oh, I forgot to start with a disclaimer, okay? The disclaimer to this episode is that this is about how to overcome creative resistance and start, complete, or share your work. This is something I battle with daily. But I want to say that I am speaking to those of you who have already decided that you want to start, complete, or share a project. I'm not trying to convince those of you who do not want to do anything more to do more. That's not what this is about. I'm not trying to get people to create more, be a better self. No. I'm trying to encourage people to be themselves. And to be yourself is to be your art. It doesn't have to be to share your art, but it's to create your art. When we are suppressing ourselves, we can feel it. You know when you're suppressing yourself, when you're suppressing your truth, when you know you have something meaningful to say, but you are avoiding saying it, that's a form of self-suppression. So I'm speaking to those people. I do not mean to motivate anyone to do that which they haven't already decided they want to do, because there's enough of that content and I don't want to add to it at all. That's not my purpose on this earth. Okay? So back to the idea of the world needing your art as it is. And I'm telling you, I mean to say this. Today it's 16:18, it's 4:18 p.m. where I am. And I mean to say that whatever art you have as of this moment is ready. I'm telling you now. The myth is that, okay, so I said, we are a future self of one of our younger selves who wanted to know more. We know so much. We hold so many stories and ideas and perspectives within us that could serve the world, ourselves, and each other. And when I say we know so much, I don't mean in the Western, text sense, like you know so many facts. I mean we know. An embodied, a spiritual, an emotional, a divine knowing. You know so much. Intuitively, you know. You have experienced, you have been told, you have been taught so much, right? And why not, if you want to, why not put that into your art and share it with people? The myth is that one day we will arrive in a state of readiness to create or share our creations. I'm here to tell you, you will never be ready until you allow yourself to believe you already are. Oh my goodness, bars. I said that. It's me. Wow, it's us, okay? You will never be ready until the day that you decide that you already are. That is so true. Because I've told myself so many times, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this. I am not ready to post this video. I'm not ready to do anything like this. No. I'm not a writer. Why am I writing? Did I not write this? Is this not my words? Listen, guys, we are so powerful. Creativity is the form of power that is non-exploitative and non-toxic, okay, in its purest sense. Not in the media market sense, but in the sense that when I say you are powerful, I mean that you have ways of being, seeing, feeling, relating, thinking, feeling within you that need to come manifest into the world. And there's a big power in giving birth to that idea. Especially in our world, there will always be more to read, more to learn, more to understand than we could ever possibly hope to in one lifetime. And I do this all the time. I'm like, no, I'm not ready to write this because I need to read this book, and this book. When I've already read that book and that book, or I just know something intuitively. Now, this is not an anti-knowledge. I'm not saying don't Google anything, don't research anything. I'm just saying there can become a fetishization with knowing everything when it's a myth that you could ever know everything. There will always be more. And in fact, because we're part of a collective creative consciousness, you don't need to know everything because you're contributing to knowledge that's already been produced. And when I say knowledge, I mean like a body of work, an art form, whatever it is. You're not the first one. And so you don't need to know everything. You just need to bring your perspective into the arena and let it sit. Okay, let it sit. Let it say what it has to say. Okay? We need to realize that our ticket to creativity is our aliveness. Oh my word, I'll stand up and say that again. Okay, our ticket to our creativity is our aliveness. Oh, I love it. We are alive. We have senses through which to receive the universe, each other, art, everything. Wow. And we have an inner world with which to process what we receive. And we have so much to give within ourselves. That's what I mean by power, and within our experiences. Our aliveness is our readiness to create. When we silence that aliveness, what are we effectively doing? We call it perfectionism, but if we zoom out and look at the macro scale of this force, what is perfectionism? Okay, this takes us to idea 2. Perfectionism is self-repression. What happens on a mass societal level when a bunch of us, especially those of us who are women or femmes, who are Black, who are marginalized in some way, are convinced we are not yet good enough? What are the socio-cultural implications of this self-silencing? When we know culture moves society and society moves culture, what does it mean to exclude ourselves from this life force of change? As I said in our podcast episode a few episodes ago, Angela Davis says that we do the work of the state through our interior lives. So we do the work of the oppressor through our own perfectionism. And we know that perfectionism is related to both white supremacy and patriarchy and ableism and colorism and so many others. And so in the face of a society that wants to silence us, this means that, number 3, imperfect creation is part of our rebellion against a repressive status quo. Imperfect creation is part of our rebellion against a repressive status quo. I really stand by those words. Like, if you feel like your work isn't good enough, great. Incredible. Press send. Press submit. Okay? Our creativity in all its glorious imperfection, quote unquote, if we actively want to claim it as such, which we don't have to, is part of how we bring a new world into being. Wow. And how we participate in co-creating society and become the world builders and paradigm shifters that we each are. How do we add to the collective is a question. We rebel against the structures that do not serve it, which includes perfectionism, right? So how do we add to collective consciousness? We rebel against the structures that don't serve it, and we build up the structures that do. So creativity is exactly one of those structures. Every surface area of our hearts, remember the Ruha Benjamin episode where she said this, she said that the more we feel heartbroken, the more surface area there is to connect with someone, with a community, with people, with the land, with the earth. So therefore, we find power in that surface area of heartbreak, or we can. So I bawled my eyes, by the way, right before that episode recorded because I was so terrified and I was just so afraid because of all of this, because of creative anxiety and resistance. Anyways, so we use the surface area to connect to other people, and this is an act of rebellion because so many systems want us divided, separate, silent, and wholly imaginative. So this is part of what it means to bring a new world into being. You may have read a book that changed your life. That author may be sitting in their house saying, ugh, that book could have been better. Damn, chapter 5 though, wasn't so good. Chapter 9 needed a better resolution, and it's like, imagine they hadn't shared the book. Just imagine how much you've benefited from people who are willing to put out work that they are insecure about. And so for me, that's the offering. Because so many hearts, souls, minds have changed mine through their work, which in our society, there was probably an associated anxiety with that work because that's the society we live in. There was shame that they had to work through. And because I'm so grateful that they did that, my offering back to the collective is me also sitting with and just creating through that feeling. Ideally, we live in a society where this feeling doesn't exist, and we can bring that into being, hopefully, together. Whatever you are trying to create, which could be art, it could be a movement, it could be a protest, it could be a methodology, it could be a organization, a workshop, it could be an episode, a podcast, it could be an essay, a book, it could be a video, a platform. If you do not have the perfect plan for this creation, great, amazing. Because what things don't have perfect plans? Subversive things, things that reimagine, things that reframe, things that are paradigm shifting. It means that what you are doing exists outside the bounds of the architecture of our current world. Wow, you're a world builder, literally. It therefore challenges some of the world's underlying assumptions or attachments. Maybe your struggle is that you don't think of yourself as a creative person. That means that in the context of the society that conditioned you, you exist outside the mold of an identity that it serves the status quo to define as inherently limited. What do I mean by that? It serves the status quo, the way things are, for us to think of a creative person as someone over there, like not me. Why? Because creative people create. They create the future, like all the technology we use. They create art, all the art we observe, all the movies, all the shows. So the creative people are over there. But if they define what a creative person looks like, sounds like, acts like, does, then they can limit your ability to tap into your own unperceived creativity. As in, the creativity within you lays dormant because it's by design. Because imagine living in a society where everyone thought they were creative. There would be anarchy, which is incredible. You know what I mean? In a sense. Like, we would be self-governed. Like, we would be like, no, I don't want to live in your gender construct. No, I don't want to live in your... I don't want to live in a state. Why? These lines are made up. What do you mean? That's why they repress our creativity. It's why they don't teach you to be creative. You know what I mean? And that's why they put so many barriers to living a creative life, making it only accessible to the wealthiest, who are least likely to oppose the structures of the status quo, right? So it's very important to understand how subversive true creativity is, because it asks why and why not X. You know what I mean? Why must we live in this limited fashion? Why couldn't we just vibe? Why do we have to work? You know what I mean? Why can't we just, the earth has everything we need. We have enough people who like doing different sets of things. Why couldn't we just be part of a joined community and do everything we needed? Creative people would change the world. If we all literally saw ourselves as creative, we would live in a different society. I believe that. Basically, it serves the status quo to say, there are creative people, you're just not one of them. Bullshit. Bullshit. We are all creative. I believe this with my whole being. It is our birthright. It is our way of being. We could not be otherwise, even if we tried. Creativity is a force within us that some of us actively choose to tap into and harness and share outwardly with others if we want to make this offering open to the collective. There's a voice inside you that knows it must be heard, that you must create, that you are a creator. Within this process, we must not be the silencer of our own voice, of our own creations. Let the world do that to us if it must. I tell myself this every single day. This is because it is unnatural, number 4, I think, for any organism to silence its own fullest expression. This is a very important idea to me. If you think of a tree grows and grows and grows to its fullest, and it blossoms trees and leaves, and it does everything. Imagine the tree said, I don't want to grow as high. Or I don't want to blossom flowers. That's too much. People will judge me. They'll be like, how dare you blossom these flowers? You know what I mean? No. The natural expression of the tree is to be its fullest treeness. With us who have a certain kind of consciousness, this means the natural expression of us is to be in our fullest consciousness and to make offerings to each other, because we are moved by these offerings. Art moves us, creations move us, technology moves us, research moves us, all these human creations, and in concert with nature, which we are a part of, move us. So much of our society is deeply unnatural, is deeply toxic to our ability to exist within it. And shame is a core part of what is so unnatural about our world, that we are made to live with so much shame, that we are brought up in a culture of shame. If we want to move towards a more natural way of relating and being, we have to acknowledge how unfortunate it is that we are human beings that feel we cannot fully live out and express our humanity. Part of our humanity is our creativity. Like a tree saying, I must not blossom the flowers whose seeds I hold within me, because the onlooker might judge me too harshly. We deserve to be our fullest and most expansive selves. Each time one of us chooses to embody that expansiveness, that fullness, we light the way for another. That's how it works. We are each other's sparks and each other's extinguishers, unfortunately. This means that if we have poems or songs or stories or videos inside of us, it is most natural for us to express them in the universe somehow, whether it be by letting it sit on a page. Have you ever seen how powerful it is to have a scary thought of yours expressed in a journal? It's very powerful. Or sharing it with a friend, sharing it online, enacting it in the real world. bringing people together in this act of creation, knowing that self-doubt connects us to every creative soul that has ever lived. Self-doubt is something that exists within the collective consciousness. And so it exists in the consciousness of artists, even the ones you admire so dearly. You love them. You're like, wow, you've changed my life. In that process of changing your life, something in them suffered. That's unfortunately the society we live in. I'm not saying that I wish it was the case, but I just know that it's very difficult to be unscathed by the shame of our society. So we can use our imagination and say, even the greats that we admire, whoever that may be for you, probably faced some sort of suffering. That's not to glorify suffering, and I don't believe in like the tortured artist being something we should aim to be. All I'm trying to say is you're not isolated in this feeling. In fact, you are so conjoined by it. We all feel this, and I'm sending you lots of love if you feel it. I'm going to break this into 2 parts because I'm feeling a little bit like my energy was like peaked and then it kind of is starting to plummet. So before it completely plummets, I'm going to like rest and come back with part 2. But just know your art matters. It's an act of self-love and it's an act of self-acknowledgement to recognize that you deserve to be heard and you deserve to be listened to or received if that's what you seek. I love you so much. Paint the world with your consciousness. Yes, you are ready. Yes, it's good enough. Yes, we want to hear it. Yes, we want to see it. Yes, we want to be part of whatever you have to create. Yes, we want to reimagine society the way that you want to. Yes, we want to join you. Yes, we want to support you. Yes, okay? You're delicious. You're precious. You are magic, literally. Look at the universe and try and tell me, how is it that if there are literally stars in the sky, there's a galaxy, there's a Milky Way, there's trees, there's forests breathing in collective consciousness as trees. Okay, I'm reading the book, The Hidden Life of Trees. There are clouds in the sky. We are living a magical existence, really. And there's suffering and pain, and you already know this. But what I mean by that is, if you can look at a cloud and say, wow, that's magic, why would you not at least be able to see that you are the exact same source? You are exactly magic. Like literally, if you think the Milky Way is magic, why would not you be? Why wouldn't you be magic? If a tree can look astoundingly profound to you, how is that not you also? We are a mirror, okay? And every magical part of the universe is us and is in us and is in you. The world needs your voice and I love you. And I'm sending you so much love. And you've got this. I promise you. I know it's scary, but you are not alone. We're all terrified. I'm so scared. Like literally. I love you. Have a beautiful day and I'll see you at part 2. Okay? Love ya. Bye.